In this video, we're going to be building a LinkedIn influencer marketing strategy from scratch with Brendan Gunn. Now, the strategy he's sharing in this video is the exact process that he uses with brands like Sprout Social, Notion, Klaviyo, Upwork, and others, and he shares his entire playbook from identifying high-converting creators and campaign concept ideation to budgeting and even how he approaches campaign tracking and ROI. And to make it super tactical, I even created a hypothetical CRO tool called A/B Testy so that you can see exactly how he'd apply this playbook to a real SaaS company. Now, the first step of his process starts with customer research. And here are some specific things that he's searching for.
Look at like consumer insights, brand insights, category insights, and usually based off of those insights, that informs a lot of the strategic development in the creators, like the creative and creator strategy. There's something psychographic about them, or maybe there's some really clear brand insights given the competitive set. There's one thing they've got that nobody else has, and so you want to lean into that.
So in the case of the hypothetical company A/B Testy, maybe our highest value customer is like an e-commerce company, or even better, an e-commerce CRO agency. And the pain points that we're solving is helping them increase conversions on their website. So maybe not only does this tool identify the A/B tests to run, but a key differentiating feature is that it analyzes your website for you and then tells you what you should test on your website. Now, once you have that information, define a campaign goal. And Brendan points out that it's essential to pick just one goal.
In an ideal world, every campaign can do everything. The reality is you can do anything, but you can't do everything. So if you're ultimately you want leads, you're probably going to be thinking about a lot more around how you can integrate the creator across the funnel into a lot of different touch points and integrate the creator into media. But if it's more of an awareness campaign and that's the objective, it's like, all right, well then how can you do something that's really novel, something that really stands out, is newsworthy and disruptive and all these things, but does not need to be full funnel. It's maybe just something like one and done, very splashy.
With this information, we can move on to the next step, which is formulating just a general campaign concept.
If like a leads or driving sales is the goal, we'll see if maybe there's something we can do that's like co-created with the creator. Maybe there's the lead magnet is some research paper. Their audience might find that research paper interesting, but they're probably going to find it a lot more interesting if it comes from the creator that they really, really trust, or their creator played a role in developing this research and these insights, and their opinions and lessons and insights are woven throughout. What if it's they're going to do a whole 30-day course where they're going to walk you through how they managed to take their website from A to Z, using A/B testing. And so you sign over your email, and each day you get like a new lesson. You get a new video direct from the creator.
So for A/B Testy, we settled on the idea of doing a research paper with a expert that reveals data around key e-commerce CRO factors, like should you do 10% off or $10 off? And partnering with, say, a CRO e-commerce agency is a perfect way to get this data and then obviously promote it. But most expert level creators don't have massive audiences, so you may need to also plan to boost the content.
Oftentimes we'll license their name and likeness and integrate it into kind of more lower funnel retargeted ad units to then drive to a co-created lead magnet that heavily features the creator that they played a role in and adds real value to their audience in a highly relevant, targeted way. And that works really well.
Now, your campaign concept can certainly change and evolve as you start talking with creators, but having at least like a rough idea of the concept and at the very least the campaign goal does help you identify which creators make sense to contact. For example, in this case, because we want to create a lead magnet that's a research study, we know that we need to reach out to e-commerce CRO experts. And that leads us to the next step, which is selecting the right creators. And the first tip from Brendan is to target creators with genuine industry credibility.
So like going for somebody that has like real category expertise, I think would be probably priority number one.
However, keep in mind that genuine industry experts aren't full-time creators and therefore probably don't have a large audience. In fact, Brendan doesn't even consider follower count at all, and he really only uses impressions as a metric to consider when he's figuring out budgeting. This is because instead he uses paid media to boost and promote the influencer's content.
I'm operating on the assumption that we have paid media to support it and stuff, because that's going to be really key. It makes your investment so much more efficient. It allows you to scale your investment, and it's much, much cheaper than just running standard ads anyways. We're seeing, thought leader ads come in at, 15 to 20% the LinkedIn average CPM, or sometimes even less.
So Brendan really focuses not so much on audience size, but rather on first, how well the creator matches the ICP, secondly, their industry credibility, and finally, the trust that the creator has with their audience. So for example, in this scenario where I'm doing a campaign for an A/B testing SaaS, here's what I typed into Favikon. I want to find influencers to promote my A/B testing software. They should be CRO experts, speak English, active on LinkedIn, and have a follower count of at least 6,000. And it looks like Samuel might be a great fit. He's a CRO agency owner, so he definitely matches my ICP. He also has a very high authenticity score, meaning that he doesn't use fake engagement like engagement pods or overly rely on AI to generate his content. And the content itself that he shares is usually very authoritative, sort of case study based content that's related to CRO. So now that I know I want to work with Samuel, here's how Brendan would approach doing the outreach.
Keep it simple. Especially large creators get dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of pitches a day, So lead with like what you're after, like what you're doing, why it's relevant to them.
For example, here's an outreach email Brendan might send to Samuel. Hi Samuel, I've seen a lot of your content on A/B testing and wanted to reach out. We'd love to do a paid influencer partnership with you to promote our A/B testing tool, A/B Testy. Interested in learning more? And don't forget to follow up multiple times. Influencer response rates tend to be fairly low, so it really kind of is a volume game. Once you get a response, here's what Brendan recommends.
And then ideally, jump on the phone with them or schedule time to jump on a call with them. Maybe if not the first exchange, pretty quickly after, so that you can get a feel for their level of excitement and enthusiasm. The more genuine excitement there is, the easier the whole thing is and the happier everyone's going to be.
During the call, here's what Brendan goes over.
Provide them a little bit of insight into like what the purpose of the campaign is, what the ask is. Try and learn a little bit from them, like what they have in store, what their schedule looks like, what sort of content they've got planned. And honestly, sort of a lot of it is trying to get that initial reaction to the opportunity and get a feel for what they have to say. If they're excited about it and like you jump on the phone and you're like, hey, we're kicking around. Here's the campaign strategy is X, Y, and Z. Does that feel like it's like a good fit for you and your audience?
After opening the conversation, budget is usually the next factor that you're going to have to figure out. And Brendan actually has a chart to help you determine budget, which we're actually including in the free resource bundle that's in the description below.
We actually have this whole like little chart that breaks out all the different factors. It's like following, engagement rate, growth rate, what vertical they are in, like what industry they're focused on. That plays a big role. If they're a subject matter expert versus like creator versus like in cross-platform influencer, because if they're really big elsewhere, their minimums are much higher than if they're like a native LinkedIn creator.
The type of activation also impacts pricing. So for example, a webinar or joint research post is probably going to be more costly than a single post. So how do you even go about getting a baseline estimate? Well, we actually have a separate video on how to determine how much you can afford to pay an influencer, and you can go ahead and check that out in the link in the description. But the key is to really understand your own business economics and how much you can afford to pay for a lead. Once you have those metrics, you can ask the influencer if they have any historical data on leads generated from similar campaigns. Once you know the number that you can offer them, ask the influencer to state their number first.
If you're starting from scratch, just be like, what would you charge for this? Let's start there.
From there, you can negotiate to what would work with your budget. After determining a budget, you can send the influencer a brief. So here's how Brendan structures his briefs.
And so we really try and streamline it and give them a little bit of context. What is this campaign about? What's the message? What's the goal? Who are we trying to reach? Some supporting information in terms of the goal. So what are the reasons to believe? If we're selling this is the best A/B testing app on the planet, how and why? What are the three supporting stats? Their deliverables. Usually we have a list of sort of the do's, don'ts, and logistics. Don't forget about the FTC disclosure statement. Here's the hashtag. Here's your link. Here's your UTM code. Those kinds of things.
Now the campaign is set to go live. But how do you actually track performance?
Be looking at what creators are performing, what creative and what messaging is performing, and take into account the level of media investment and targeting so that you're looking at everything in context of the percentage of ad spend, because it's not in terms of total numbers. With creators, oftentimes, especially on lower funnel stuff, the 80-20 rule comes into effect. And so maybe you're a few weeks into the campaign and it's one creator is just gold. Great, just double down on them. You don't need to keep spending on everybody else. And so maybe you even go and ask them to create more content or look at what makes them different than the others. Maybe you're testing different target audiences. Okay, who else is similar to that creator? Or maybe they are all very clearly the same target, but each of them has very different messages that are that they were leaning into, which is a common thing. You'll be testing different CTAs or RTBs and stuff, and maybe you identify a pattern of with the audience, this is the message that's resonating. Great, let's shut down ads on all the other stuff. Moving forward, we know this messaging works. Let's double down on that. Maybe test some stuff we haven't tried out before. I would say the other thing that we really try and do on the tracking and reporting front is provide context. And not everything is acquisition oriented. How can we drive awareness, consideration, increase positive perception? And so we've come up with a number of different methods of tracking, sentiment and stuff like that.
If you like this video, you'll probably also love this video where I talk to Alex, the influencer marketing manager at Perspective, about exactly how he would build an influencer campaign from scratch for a similar SaaS brand.